Hi, I'm Jeannie Howe, and welcome to Tales Along the Byway. Today we're at the Reed-Niland Corner, where the Jefferson Highway Heritage Byway intersects with the Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway, a National Scenic Byway. Inside, I have post employees from the Reed Station who are going to share their tales with us. So come on in.
Yes, I'm Jerry Cable. I worked here from 1959 to 1962. I'm lucky to have the job because there weren't many jobs for us students that lived in town. In the summer we'd bale hay, walk beans, do tassel, but I was happy to get this job. And we worked 12 hours a day, from 6 to 6 on Saturday and 6 to 6 on Sunday. And then in the summertime, when the regular guys would go on vacation for a week, I would work their shifts. Now, they always took off when it was their week to work nights. So, yeah, that took some getting used to. And I missed out on a lot of things because I was sleeping during the day while my classmates were out having fun. But I was glad to have the job.
How old were you when you started?
Must have been 16, because I think I had a car back then. Or maybe not. No, I think I was 15 when I started. Probably late 15, but yeah, probably. So, and you know, Charlie was a great guy to work for. He was very generous and easy to get along with. And you know, there wasn't a time, I don't care what time, day or night, that you couldn't walk out there and look east or west on this highway, 30, and not see headlights. It was always,
Really?
no matter what time.
I'm Ron Smith, between 60 and 63, I know that, but mostly it was weekends, just Saturdays and Sundays, 6 to 6, the day shifts. It was my first job off the farm. I did work on farms every year, but I never had a job off the farm until I got this one. It's a lot easier work. We didn't, every time a customer would come, we'd go out and do like they wanted, but we'd wash the windshields and check their oils and run their tires and do all that while they was getting their dollars worth of gas. And local people, they did dollars worth and sometimes two. But the only people who would fill the cars was the ones that was driving through. They'd fill it up. Get busy because they went quite a bit of traffic. There wasn't no new 30 highway then. This was the main road east and west of the state, the 30 highway. This one right here all the way through. And then the Jefferson Highway, 65 north and south. There weren't no Interstate 80, there wasn't no 30 highway. This was the crossroads of the nation at that time. Mm-hmm. So that's why the traffic, day and night, was, if I ran 24 hours a day, restaurant and station.
About how many people worked in the station around that time?
The station, well, I would say it was two, one worked night shift, one worked day shift, and then we would come in on the weekends to work the day shift so the night guy could switch.
But sometime on the day, wasn't there two of us, did I work with you?
Yes, there was always, it seemed like there was always two of us on the weekends, yes.
On the weekends, during the day.
Usually there was two on the weekends. Weekends were real busy.
You know, we didn't mention that the Greyhound and bus and the Jefferson Bus Company, this was a pickup and drop-off station. And we had lights. So if we had a passenger, we'd flip a switch for the light for either Greyhound that went this way or Jefferson went this way. And then they would stop and pick up the passenger.
Okay.
I believe we wrote the bus
Yeah,
tickets here too.
Yeah, we could buy tickets here.
Yeah.
Make out tickets.
Yeah, we sold bus tickets.
Yeah.
And the Iowa hospitals ran
All their
big
ambulance.
sedans out, they weren't really ambulance, but they pick up, they might be like a 3-seater car, almost like a limo, but it wasn't fancy. And they would go around and pick up patients and take them to Iowa hospitals.
Really?
Yeah, and they stopped here a lot to fuel and to eat at the restaurant.
I am George Smith. Until I graduated high school, 59 was when I worked for 4 years. And, you know, after graduation, I went to Kansas City and started a school to be an automatic transmission repair. And the General Motors went on strike, and the guy that owned the station, or the place where I was getting my education, I also did brake jobs for him. I knew how to do that while he was teaching me to repair automatic transmissions. But he had to go out of business because he just lost all his business when General Motors went on strike down there. So I went back to work on the farm for a while until that fall and got the crops all in. I moved back up here, went back to work for Charlie. In 1963, Vietnam was breaking out, and the draft board, I called my brother. He'd been in the service for years, and I asked him what he'd do. I said, they told me I'd probably go in October. And he said, I'd go over and volunteer, because you go to Fort Leonard Wood, and that's a nasty place in October. So I went and volunteered in September, so that's when I left. Was when I went into the Army in 1963, I moved back to Ames and worked at Ames Heating and Cooling for 40 years before I moved to Ankeny, where I live now.
I used to come up here with my dad. He used to come up when Fred Berkey worked here, and they'd be shooting breeze. So I'm 14 years old. They sent me out to work, out to wait on the customers when I was 14 years old. And then I finally started working full time when I was 15. And I worked from 63 to 66. Well, like Jerry was saying about something, I had a patrolman came in one time. He brought a box and he sat on the counter. And I said, well, "What's the deal?" I said, "There's a set of eyeballs in there." Another highway patrol, we come up from Iowa City to pick it up. About 15 minutes later, come another highway patrol, picked up and left.
Did you open it up and look?
No, we didn't open it up. But yeah, they said when a set of eyeballs are for transplants.
Oh yeah.
But that's how they did it back then. This would be like in '64.
Sure.
So that was kind of neat, you know. So like Jerry said, gas, most of them was $1 at a time. If they come in, they said, "Give me 5." You want to ask them, you want 5 gallons or $5? Because if you did, you could get, you know.
How much was gas about that time? Do you remember?
30 cents, and then it got down to like, I think the lowest I seen was like 21 and 22 cents. But average people make like $1 an hour, so really gas is cheaper now than it was then, if you realize, you know, look at it that way. So it was a nice job. I like working. The only reason I quit, I got drafted.
And then you go home on leave.
I came home on leave one time. I forgot about that. And Charlie called me up and said, "Hey, could you come out and work for about a week with us?" And I said, "I was home on leave and I was working here, making money. Plus I got to see everybody." I said,
Well, I think that's why Charlie really liked working the corners because of all the people he would meet.
"Oh yeah." It's unbelievable. It was really nice when the truckers would come in. They come over and shoot the breeze with you. You know, you never been anywhere. You're now 15, 16 years old. So it was real interesting talking to them truck drivers.
I worked here, best I can remember, 61 to 63. And that's right at the time when new Highway 30 was being constructed down here, but the traffic is still up here. I worked with old Fred Burka,
Yep.
and we had a 12-hour on, 12-hour off, and every week he switched from days to nights. And like Jerry said, getting used to those nights was tough.
And how much was Charlie here during those
Charlie
shifts?
came in every morning, stopped in the station and run over and turn the thermostat clear out. And then he'd leave and go over and have his breakfast. And I remember a time or two with Charlie, he'd have this glass of milk and he'd fill it half full of sugar and then stir it. That and his oatmeal.
Remember when Fred finally messed with the thermostat, so he turned up, it didn't turn up. Disconnected. So Charlie thought he was turning it up.
But
He
he
was.
still got the push to clear up.
Yeah.
But like, everybody said, Charlie was a hell of a nice guy.
Oh, super nice guy.
No, you get used to, I remember standing outside at night and you got to the point where you could listen to the trucks coming and you could tell which one it was. You know, the DC, the Chicago, the Denver, Chicago run. You got to be pretty good friends with all those drivers because you'd see them at least once a week, if not more often. And then the funny part was in the summertime, you'd see this trucker walking in the door, but no truck. And here he was with his family on vacation, but they'd stop here to eat, and he'd come over and visit with you for a while. So there was a lot of people that, I mean, this was a lifeline for a lot of them, because they saw so much of it. No, I never had any problems. I had a few incidents, but I remember one night, it was probably 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and old Johnny Cash popped in the front door, drunk, earned $700, because they were a bunch of them going from Minneapolis to Des Moines to a show. And they had a flat tire right south of town down here, and he was looking for somebody to change his tire. And I don't remember how it all, we got him fixed up, we got him on the road, but yeah, he was a mess, let's say that.
Was he still nice or was he angry?
Nice as could be, But, no, it was, I'm sure there were a lot of things we've all forgotten that have happened.
Sure.
Time of year, but those are some of the things that stuck out to me. And I remember when the gas wars would come, I sold gas for 10 cents.
Yeah.
And a couple of gas wars.
I think I got down to 20 cents when I got as low as I got, it was 20 cents.
Yeah.
See, that was a little bit later. We used to rent the truckers would come in, we'd go up and rent room to them for $40.
Yeah.
For a truck, I think rather was $5, wasn't it? I think it was $5 or $6.
Something like that.
Something like, but the truckers would get it for $3.
Yeah.
Of course, you gotta realize $3 is pretty good money.
We actually rented the motel rooms here at
Yeah.
the station.
We didn't have to clean it, but we
Yeah.
did.
No, there used to be 2 diesel pumps out
Yeah,
here
south.
for the truckers for diesel. And one day, car's sitting down there, and I go, that dumb guy, what the hell is he doing down there? I walked down there and said, hey buddy, this is a diesel pump, not gas. He says, well, this is a diesel car. And I had never heard of such a never heard of a diesel car back then.
Probably in your stages. What about those cars come in, they give you a quart of oil, say dump this in the tank, and they put 10 gallons of gas in it. Yeah, they used to,
Really?
what are you talking about? Yeah. Subarus, they had that, you had to put, there were 2
Remember
cycles.
all the candy, Charlie had every candy bar made on that counter. Loved to give candy away to kids.
Yeah.
So somebody get gas, had children in there, he'd take out candy bars for them. Yeah. Very, very nice guy. But I believe that house, he built a little house across the road here. And that house didn't have a kitchen. Didn't need a kitchen,
Yeah, well, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Never married. He was a lot smarter than we thought. I mean,
How much do you guys get paid? I got paid $10 for 12 hours worth of work when I worked there.
We got 50 cents an hour.
Okay,
what we got.
$6 for 12 hours.
because I got $10, if I worked 12 hours, I got $10. I worked the night shift when I was 16, you got $10.
50 cents an hour, we got $6 a day for 12 hours.
Yeah, see, so
That's a lot of money. I can buy my car or.
yeah, same here, buy a car and stuff, $10 is a lot of money. Well, you work 2 days, you got, Saturday, that's $20. That's a lot of money.
Plus you got your gas for your car.
my 49 Ford didn't know the needle could get past a quarter. That was a break to try to build it up.
Yeah, Charlie took care of you.
Yeah, he did.
If you were working, pop was on him, you wanted to ball pop, you got a ball pop.
And we walked beans for Charlie. Charlie owned a lot of farms around.
Once a
We
week.
walked beans and baled hay. The thing I never understood about Charlie, when they baled hay, they put it on a drag.
Yeah.
And tore up the hay ground. I never understood that.
Yeah.
Why
Put it on the wagon.
Why not put it on a hay rack?
Yeah.
That was the way he learned. No, that was the way it was done.
Fred Barnes still did that when I was a kid on the drag. Round bales, the little round bales, users.
Yeah.
Get them on and fall off.
Yeah, there's been big snows when everybody gets snowed in, and truckers would come in and play cards, and, maybe they'd open their trucks up and somebody needed a pop or whatever.
And then was there regular fight nights that everyone came and watched fights on the TV, or was it something else that you watched?
That was before my
That was
time.
before my time.
Before my time, yeah.
Okay, how about you, George?
We played cribbage every night, usually somebody would come in, we'd get a cribbage game going. And we played cribbage all night, sometimes, I don't know what them other people had to do the next day, but I got home and go to bed.
Did you have like a card table and chairs that you guys would play at, or did you play at the desk?
We played at the desk, at Charlie's desk.
Okay.
Used to have a cigarette machine here, and every kid in Story County come here and buy cigarettes. Now, when I first started, you had a button up there by the cash register. You had to push the button before you could get the cigarettes. They put the money in, and you push the button. Well, when I first, First of July, Iowa changes their laws. Well, we took it out. I had to take that out, so anybody could come in, put in their money, buy cigarettes. All the kids are buying cigarettes. I didn't care. What the heck?
Yeah, between the station and the restaurant over here, this was quite a watering hole for kids from all the towns around. They always lived out there.
Because they were open 24 hours.
Yeah.
Except, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they closed at 2 o'clock. The restaurant closed at 2 o'clock Sunday morning and opened at 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon.
Did you ever have to go out and fill up all the holes?
Oh, yeah.
Sweep all the gravel back in all the holes?
Yeah.
That was one of the things you did on Sunday morning, filled up the holes.
So this grass area back there, was that an area that people used at all? They hang out, or is it just
It wasn't
wasted?
Parking.
Yeah, it wasn't grass.
It wasn't
No.
grass. Oh, it was parking.
Somebody used to park here,
Yeah.
park here,
Oh.
and you'd see the same drivers,
Yeah.
on.
The buses always pulled in right alongside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's Greyhound would pull right up in front, because, they were going east and west.
Yeah.
Kids would come in and out, so.
Okay.
Saturday nights were always entertaining.
Yes.
One old farmer fell asleep back here, and his wife was waiting on him out at the car. She come in and says, "Where's Irvin?" And I saw him go that way.
Oh, no.
I saw him, she had him by the nape of the neck, and dragging him out the door, and he was all cold.
When they'd get snowed in, they'd leave the tractors running, semi-tractors. And I know I got paid to go out and look at several to see the tack was at a certain, whatever it was. So tachometer, see the RPMs was correct, so they didn't want something to happen to it. Especially when it was really cold and there was snowed in. So they made me slip you a $5 bill to go out there all night and check it if you want.
While he was at the cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and most of those truckers were nice people.
Oh, yeah. You enjoyed that, because they come and tell you all these neat stories. When you were a young kid, never been anywhere.
I had two come in on an old rig, it was an old semi, and they had a tire and they wanted it fixed. And they went to the station and they were both flying pretty high on alcohol, and they came back and wouldn't pay me.
Spin.
And they took off and went south on 65, so, we were friends with all the highway patrolmen down there. I just called the highway patrol and told them what happened, and they got it.
Remember, people used to come in, they'd run out of gas, and they had that vehicle gas can. So you had to give us $5 for that can. You always got that can back. Because, they were going there,
Yeah.
make sure you got, that way they come back here and fill up with gas. Because if you give them, dollars worth of gas, a couple gallons, and that 5 gallons, and they were headed from the bay, they wouldn't come back. You give me $5 for that can, they always came back. That can was worth nothing.
I had a semi-gas hauler, big tank, I think it was even standard gas, and he didn't have any money to buy fuel. And Charlie wouldn't give me fuel. And I'm thinking, you got how many hundreds of gallons on that tanker? He just sat out there for a long time.
I'm Bob Welch, I'm one of the last ones who worked here. I didn't start until like 66, summer 66. And then I worked about, 67 and a half, somewhere like that. And it was an experience. At that time, I had 3 jobs. I started downtown at Roards when I was about 9 and fill all the cases and stuff down there, sweep the floors, wash windows, blah, blah. Then come out here and start working, and also work down to Somerville. But I only worked here on Sunday nights only. But I had to close up a Sunday night, and you put all the money in a little bag, but you always left the cash register open and change in there. And go to the back door of the restaurant, and go in there, it was never locked, and put it in the pie case, put it in the door down there, and that way you close it. But that's the way Sunday nights work, But had a lot of fun here, a lot of guys came in, But there used to be a little hole down there we used to throw quarters at. You guys all remember that? You never did? Well, we did. Sometimes it's only nickels. We aren't rich enough to throw a quarter very often. That's something to do in, Sunday.
See if you could hit the hole.
Yeah, you hit the hole, you win.
What did you win?
Or the closest, all the money that was thrown. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
You got more money out of it.
Yeah.
And that's,
What time did they close, Bob?
close 10:30.
Yeah.
They started doing that?
Because it wasn't traffic, I think the restaurant had already closed, yeah. They'd already
It was
closed.
closed entirely?
No,
It was just
still-
closed,
Yeah.
it wasn't 24 hours anymore.
No.
Once they opened the new highway, you know, there wasn't the traffic, was just not.
Sure.
I mean, we closed this in '68, because there was no traffic, we closed the gas station.
This gas station closed in 68?
Yeah, '68, because I come home from the Army in '68 in August, and it was closed.
Yeah.
I remember coming here to get the money out of the cash register, he put it in his pockets, so he walked back over there, so he didn't have to follow and pick up all the money he dropped. So he took the same money out of the cash register 3 times. So I remember walking behind him, picking up $5 and $10 bills and $1 bills and bring it back, put it back in the cash register.
Charlie had an old dog.
Oh,
I was just a kid.
Oh,
And that dog was kind of a yellowish dog.
Yes, I remember they had that back.
He comes across the highway, he never would get hit.
it was a Cocker
And
Spaniel.
why Charlie never got hit out there?
Yeah.
Because I used to go with my dad, and my brother and stuff, and up here was a peanut machine. Well, if you got close to that peanut machine, you better give the dog some.
Yeah,
If he was right there, just in case you dropped one, he had it.
it was a fun place to work. Got to meet a lot of people, you know,
Interesting.
living in a small town, never went anywhere, all these people come in from different states and different kinds of cars and stuff.
And our mother worked at the restaurant,
Yeah.
and my sister. Our sister both worked there, when it was 24 hours.
Our
back in the
railroad
days.
here too.
Yeah.
22 years.
Yeah, your mom worked there forever.
Yeah, my mother worked there.
Yeah, your mom worked there.
So almost all of you, your mothers worked at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, yours, no, okay.
Mom said, Leonard.
He had too much.
Leonard's mother's hands were full just trying to raise that group of.
His youngest sister was in my class.
Yeah.
You know, we've known each other, everybody forever.
Yeah.
He had
You know everybody.
a sister in my class.
Yeah, you bet.
He didn't have any kids in my class, he didn't have brothers, before and after, but not in my class.
John was a working. John was great behind me.
Jerry was a great ahead of me. And his brother Bob, I was a good friend of his forever, and he's passed away, which is regrettable, but I really like that guy.
I think you guys were telling me last summer that Charlie would give your mom a ride to work.
Yeah, sometimes we didn't have a car, we started to run, so we kind of pick her up, bring her back,
And how far away did you live?
just south into town. You know where Casey's is at?
Mm-hmm.
And just down that street,
Okay.
the big house.
Our mother never did drive, so that John, they would take her, pick her up in the morning, bring her to work, and take her home after work.
Yeah.
Both of them, we lived north of Colo here, and then when my folks moved to Collins in '64, he would go get her in Collins. She took her back and,
John.
Well, they were good
John
runners, I know.
John would be Claire and
Margaret.
Margaret's son.
And he ran the Nylons for a while.
Yeah, well, yeah, he took it over eventually.
Yeah.
And he lived in his house, or maybe he still does. Did he even come back and over his farm?
Does he stay in Florida pretty much anymore now?
Yeah, he didn't come back to '75.
Okay.
For that.
Remember what year that Plymouth was? What year the Plymouth that Charlie drove was? Was that 56? You remember that? 55?
In the last car, he had a 61 Chevy was the last car I remember Charlie.
Oh, I didn't know that because that's.
Whose old Patrick was it?
That's Fred.
Yeah, with Fred Burkey's.
Yeah, but before that, he bought it from somebody from Highlands. Either Charlie or somebody, where that Patrick come from.
I couldn't get it
I remember as a kid.
Have you cuts that?
and my dad ended up with Charlie's Chevy.
Okay, the 61, used to have a light brown, beige color, yeah, beige. I remember Charlie driving that. He was driving that when I left.
Well, they had to put locks under the seat because Charlie's so short.
Oh, he was just a really short guy. Little bitty guy.
You could see out the damn window.
He always leave the damn thing running.
Yeah.
And somebody stole it. Drove it to Nebraska when they found it.
I can remember something about that.
Tony Snyder, I was working here then. He
Okay, yeah, I
had-
remember Snyder.
He had to go get it in Nebraska and get Charlie car.
I used to work at Bill Donald a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
Bill worked here with us, me and Jerry.
Yeah, I worked for Bill because he was working here when I started working here.
When you were talking about the gas wars, who were you in competition with? Like,
Okay,
how many stations were in town?
Two more right down
Two
there.
were down, and there was one in town.
Right, and there are 4?
Yeah.
This, the DX, the Shell, and Olson's, whatever, I don't know.
Texaco, wasn't it?
Texaco, yeah.
Texaco.
But it didn't start here. It started like Ames in the day.
Yeah.
Well, it started on Highway 30.
Yeah.
I can remember 17-cent gas.
I remember that.
Most of it 23.9.
Yeah, I got down to 2021.
Was Walt Wings open at that time, Jared?
I don't think it was pumping gas. I think it
Pumps are
was just,
still out
I think it was just, were they?
They were, yeah.
Could've been.
I remember when he sold out, I was still working Cylinder Head. So that'd been
Okay,
66, 67, 68, right in there.
Because I was home when, because remember Gene tried to pick that car up?
Model A, yeah. He couldn't pick it up,
Yeah, I couldn't pick it up.
so I went and picked it up.
Yeah. I remember a car coming in one time, it was a 61 Chevy, the hood was all mashed up, the windshield on the passenger side was shattered, the roof was all split. So I asked the guy, what happened? I hit a pheasant at 90 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you hit this at? Oh, back in Illinois. He was heavy, he still had a windshield shattered on the right-hand side. Of course, that was no big deal back then. I remember a kid coming in
One night had a 55 Pontiac, both front fenders all tore up, grill smashed. I asked him, I said, what have you been? Well, I've been out running the cops. And he'd outrun them, run through a darn barricade down there at Hickory Grove. And he kept coming up there, had no headlights or nothing. I heard a noise coming up. He come up, stopped in the station, got a little more gas, took off, go home. They never did catch him. I won't tell you who it was.
Yeah.
That's beside the point.
You didn't call the police on him.
No,
George, what was the craziest thing you had happen?
There's a guy from California stopped in and we wanted to know if I knew where there's any old cars sitting around. He was wanting to buy an antique car, and I knew of the one that Jim Hopkins had up in his hangout out west here, and I told him about that. I told him Jim was in the nursing home over in Nevada. He could probably go out because there wasn't nobody there at the barn at that time. The barn was always open. You could climb up in the attic. It was up in the haymow under a tarp. He evidently went out there and looked, and then went in and talked to Jim. And 2 days later was when he came back through, and he had that 1910 Buick on the back of his truck.
So how do you get up in the hay mound?
He put it on the hay rope and lifted it up.
Yeah, we did that.
That's what I figured.
We did that.
Yeah, he set it up in the hay mound and then covered it up with the tarp. But anyhow, he got it bought from Jim Hopkins. I didn't think Jim probably ever sell it to him, but he evidently got it bought, and he rented the flatbed truck, put it on to haul it to California, and filled it up with gas, and then he stuck $100 bill in my shirt pocket.
Oh, that's fine.
That's what a nice offer.
That's more money than I made in 3 weeks.
the interesting point about that car, Hopkins lost a bet. He bet with a friend of his on election. I remember it was Hoover's election.
It was Hoover.
But whoever lost had to take their car to West Branch, that's where Hoover was from, and store it for, I don't know, 30 years or however long it was. Yeah, and he lost the bet. Because I was working when he brought it back.
Really?
He brought it back on a flatbed truck. But an interesting thing about both Highway 65 and Highway 30 went through Colo one time.
Yeah, one time.
30 right down Main Street. 65 went over, and I don't know if it came in on this first street, and it went down Main Street and then back out.
That was before our time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
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 I remember the old guys talking about that.
So when Charlie started the restaurant, this was at, what we call at grade crossing. There wasn't a bridge over 65, it was at grade. This first station was down here on that corner. Then I don't know if we moved it because they made the bridge, maybe.
I don't know.
Because what is that, they made him move it because of the.
He could have had to move because they put the bridge on.
Right, I think that's what they did.
And then he used to just sell spots for people to camp.
Right.
Then he had cabins, no electricity, no water, that he would rent.
Yeah.
And then finally he put the motel in.
Motel was always busy. You
Yeah,
know, it was usually full. I remember renting it out a number of times. You know,
I'm thinking like 16 bucks, was it 16 bucks a night?
I remember, like I said, you know, the trucker could get it for $3.
Trucker got it. It's
He gave truckers a good deal because they once kept coming back.
Right.
You'd see him all the time.
It was only $2.50 from our work.
Okay, yeah. So
Oh,
the range is
okay.
for, you know, there's nothing sense. But yeah,
$2.50 a night for truckers.
the most trucks at that time were gas. Very seldom would put diesel in. Well,
No.
you know, diesel weren't real popular back in the late 50s and early 60s. Mostly were gas.
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember if those old Pie and DC trucks were diesel or the gas. They were diesel?
Yeah.
Okay.
But some of these like independent guys, they'd have an old Chevy or something, they were still gas.
What did High stand for? Pacific Interstate
Commerce, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
PIE, the E.
whatever.
I don't remember what
I
it's.
just remember DC was Denver, Chicago.
Yeah,
Denver, Chicago, DC.
they come through a
A
lot.
lot of DC and a lot of fire trucks entered and stopped.
Now, another story I remember from last year was that they would get the beef, Nilands would get the beef from the neighboring farm.
Yeah, you had a
Is
farm
that-
right down here, so all the beef and everything come right through, I think, butchered.
Was it Charlie's
Yeah,
farm or?
Charlie's.
Oh, it was.
Charlie's farm, yeah, you owned all that.
You owned all this land. I remember one time I was in FFA and I couldn't get, I was raising hogs, I couldn't get any corn because the co-op, so Troy said, get down and get it for me and keep track of it. So I kept track of it, you know, see, so I come up to pay and said, no, I didn't even have to pay for all that corn I got from the feed. I made a pretty good profit that year. They don't get any money.
Did he continue farming it up until he passed? Did he hire people or did he
No,
sell it off?
he rented.
He rented all the
He
land
rented
out.
land.
He rented
Or he
it.
had tenant farmers.
Yeah.
Did your dad work for the farm side of the, did he work for Charlie?
Yeah, Dad worked for Charlie.
Okay.
I remember when the airplane landed in this field right here.
I don't remember that.
Remember the go-kart track they had over here?
Well, I don't remember that, but I remember an airplane, one engine. I thought, boy, that's strange. And he came in here and said, could you give me a ride down to church? You come for a wedding.
Oh, his own airport.
Yeah, there used to be a go-kart track on the other side.
And that was Charlie's then, because it was his land.
Yeah.
Go-kart track, yeah. Go to race go-karts.
They used to have horse poles.
Yeah.
I remember the horse pole,
No, I don't remember that.
What was your favorite car that you saw?
57 Chevy.
57 Ford.
Chevy and Ford War.
Well, good nature, you know, it's good nature.
I had a 58 Chevy that I was trying to find out.
I remember your 52 Pontiac they used to have.
Jackrabbits.
Had all the truck streets down the Bitters.
Yeah.
Maybe that old Chevy, you just take the fan off of it, so the big horsepower, so you didn't have a fan on it.
Yeah, that old 50.
I remember Ron,
52 Chevy.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember Ron remodeled the front end of one of your cars one time.
That old Chevy, and I hit that ridge. Yeah.
What a nice V in that bumper.
And Claire used to drive a Jeep wagon, an old brown wagon he had. He come and get mom during wintertime, you know, nobody else could get anywhere.
Who
He
did?
four-wheel drive. Claire and I did.
Oh, Claire had a Jeep?
That old Jeep wagon.
I remember when he was dating his wife, because his wife lived 2 doors south of where I did. He had a new 56 Pontiac, 56 O's convertible.
Okay.
Very nice car.
What year was your Pontiac, Jerry? 62?
62.
I remember that car, because me and Bob used to run around giving Jerry tried this neat looking Pontiac. That was a neat car.
Grand Prix, yeah.
It was brand burgundy. Had big chrome wheels on it.
Reverse chrome.
Yeah. That was a pretty car.
It was.
That really was.
Floor on the floor.
Did you work on any interesting cars?
All we did was change, you know, we fixed tires, and-
Tires?
but we didn't do any mechanical work. speak
Oh,
of.
okay.
Well, I changed the tire once in a while, somebody had a flat and change that, put oil in and stuff, but we really didn't do any mechanical work. speak
I
of.
changed the transmission one time.
Did you?
This is a weird deal. Orientals came in. For some reason, they were across the bridge. Was that Fred Ross's land?
Yeah,
In the grass, and they walked down here and they said, anybody change the transmission? We have the transmission. Oh.
care what it was.
And they said, pay $5, and I said, oh, yeah. I didn't know how to change it. They did, they talked me through that, and made it simple, and did it, about an hour, and got $5.
That was a lot of money.
Oh, boy.
They use,
Yeah.
they have 2 O's.
They must have, Ron, well, they were carrying the transmission, they must have figured it out.
A lot of exciting, interesting things. Nothing seriously bad, just ornaments.
And Nilands at the time, was that your typical small town bar restaurant?
No bar.
No bar?
Just a restaurant.
Okay, so everyone just brought their own bottles when they were hanging out?
Not in there.
Flow it to you out the door without opening it.
Great.
Remember we used to go out and steal watermelons and take them in there and she cut them up for you, so you eat them they said, right at the bar, and eat watermelons you stole. I remember throwing people out of that place. This gal was something else. Nicest gal,
Which one are you talking about?
Florence Gear. She's only about this tall, about this wide.
We were all scared to death of her.
You bet. You needed it.
Food to eat, yeah. She straightened more than one person out.
I had a video, I can't find it anymore. that my brother
Which
recorded it, or he didn't record it, but he got it off old film. It has a picture of Charlie and a couple guys in an old, say like an old 35 Ford out here, and then it had a picture of the gals that worked in there, and then him in his Plymouth, and then it had pictures of semis going on the highway, and then, you know, before you get to that oopie doop, we used to go under the railroad track.
Do the iron cross.
And turn and go over the railroad track. It was a lot more severe than it is now. I mean, it was like,
Yeah,
There's
because
a
they
lot of
changed,
accidents there.
they changed the bridge here back in the
I
seventies.
mean, you gotta do a 90 on the other side of the viaduct, but I can't find it. I just can't find it.
They come right after I started working now, because we got, I think I only worked about a month or so before they come in and put the electric pumps, hooked them up. They were putting all the electricity stuff in for them before they set the pumps, because
So what year was that?
that'd been
55.
55.
Yeah, I can believe that. I can go along with that.
And then at that time, would the tires and, well, gas obviously was delivered at that time, the tires, were they delivered here or did Charlie have to go get them?
That's a good
Like
question.
your stock?
That's a good question.
Because there were
And were
tires
they-
hanging up there. I don't remember ever.
And were they standard oil tires?
Yeah.
Assume so.
I know a good year.
We used to fix an awful lot of flats.
I
A lot of
would
flat tires.
I'm gonna guess he bought it from a vendor somewhere, you know, out of Ames or someplace. I can't imagine.
Sold one new tire for $16.
For new. The
Yeah.
gas they delivered standard.
When they did Campbell started delivering gas to the small. I remember running out of gas at the gas store. We'd run out of gas, then we'd have to get another tank. Then when they come in from Standard, they used to have, you know, started a credit card. You put so many credit cards in this little envelope, and that you pay for gas that way. The receipt.
Oh.
Yeah, like say, you had $20 worth of tickets, well, that $20 would go toward the gas that you're buying, and then you got to get money out of the cash register to finish.
Oh.
But I remember paying for gas out of the tank with credit card things. I think you put, don't quote me, 20 or 25 tickets in this little envelope, you put out how much money was in there, because people would charge $3, $5. Usually most of those are people driving through who charge and stuff, and then you pay for gas.
You know, Charlie used to have a book, he let people charge.
Oh, yeah, all the time, all kinds of people charge. You go in and write it down, never had any trouble. We had certain people that come in, they'd say charge, and you knew what, who you were, you would write their name down, how much, the date, how much, you know, they charged. So most of the gas, like Jerry said, we sold it $1, give me $1. Well, you get 3 gallons for $1 or more, as with the gas.
Several of you attended the anniversary celebrations last year.
Hard to believe that station was put 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I presume that would have been the first one, not
Mhm.
this station.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else, boys.
All right, well, thank you for your time spending the Saturday morning with us.
Thank you for
I
taking
think
the time.
Joshua and I learned a lot.
Thank you, sir.